Well, hey, everybody. So glad that you're with me on the podcast today. I'm super excited to have a friend of mine, Frances Syverson, who is not only an incredible artist, but just a fun person. You're going to love this interview today. So, Frances, welcome. So glad you're with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. We were just talking beforehand. You are from or live in a place, Douglasville, Georgia, where Tanya and I lived for several years in our early married life. But for those folks that are just getting to know you, let us know who you are, where you're from, what you do creatively, and then we'll kind of jump into a little bit of your story.
Okay. I have been married for 25 years. He has a creative side himself. We have a 14-year-old Yorkie with more medical problems than my 82-year-old mom.
Bless his heart, right?
She's crazy. And I have been in education for 28 years. I've been a high school math teacher, high school counselor, and have been the last 14 years, I think, been a high school media specialist.
Wow.
I fought getting into jewelry, even though I've loved crafts and I've been creative my whole life, but I was like, no, I have enough hobbies. I don't need to get into that. And I kind of threw the back way, went into it, said, well, I'm going to help the kids at church learn some jewelry. Let me go and buy some beads and stuff. So I did beading for a while. And then I eventually got into what I do now. And I sell a little on Etsy. I enjoy markets more because I'm a people person.
Yeah, sure.
And I love teaching. So
now I'm sure everybody that's listening today is trying to make sense of this in their head. How does an artist and a math teacher exist in the same body? So
well, if you want to know the truth,
be a unique gift mix of a person.
If you want to know the truth of it, I actually have a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering Technology that I was not very good at, and went that route after I was a math major. So yeah, figure that out.
I'm the same way. I was very involved in Boy Scouts growing up, and I said the only merit badge that I could not physically get, like I tried and they would not give it to me, was electricity, the electrical engineering part. I was like, hey, that just does not make sense to me, but put me in basket making or painting or something like that, and I'm great. So that's funny. So it's interesting, I think, how all of us come to, what we do creatively. So it sounds like you started out your career in education, still doing that, but when did this whole jewelry thing kind of come into your life, and what was the impetus for that?
Probably about 7 years ago. And like I say, I started out with beading and doing that. And then I was with a friend. We were in Atlanta, and I saw a spinner ring, and I said, one day I want to learn how to make that. So I just kind of started searching and found a lady in Atlanta. I took a class. It was like a 4-hour class. And I learned how to make just a hammered band. So the first one I ever made, my husband said, I want you to make me one.
Wow.
So the first piece of jewelry that I made with soldering and that sort of thing, I made for my husband, and he wears it as his wedding band.
How cool.
Yeah. And then I tinkered, I played around, I watched YouTube videos, trial and error. And then I said, I want to learn how to make that spinner ring.
Yeah.
So I went back to the same lady and took one other 4-hour class. This time I took my friend with me, and she made one and I made one. And I was hooked from then on.
Wow. I'm thinking about the first times that I made my baskets early on, and there's something that like resonates inside of you. Like, I love this. Like, I want to do more of it. I guess because you're a teacher and you are naturally just, by nature, a giving person, you love to see others kind of get it. You took this, which has been a hobby for you, and actually started teaching that. So when did you make the transition into teaching your jewelry?
It's I teach. I've just taught a few friends and that sort of thing, and it's funny because I feel like I've been floundering for a while. Like, how do I make this a business?
Yeah.
And what do I do to make it a business? And let me try Etsy, and Etsy's a great place, but I learned that I love making the jewelry, I don't love taking pictures and editing and writing descriptions and figuring out all that. I would rather just make the jewelry and go to a market and be able to see people and see their expressions and that sort of thing. But teaching has been part of me my whole life. When I look back and realize, what have I always been good at? It's teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, I tutored my roommates in college. I tutored their friends in college. So teaching, even now as a media specialist, I love teaching the kids. Any opportunity I get to teach them, I love it and I do it. So it's now that I've figured out, I feel like God has finally shown me in the last couple months that, what you can do is you can teach, which is your passion, but yet you can sell maybe for fundraisers.
Yeah.
For all these different, I have friends who have these wonderful, wonderful charities and ministries.
Sure.
And so my husband's supportive regardless. He's like, whatever you want to do is fine with me. And so that's where I'm going, is in the next 2 years, I'm going to really focus on the teaching aspect of it. I mean, I felt like God was giving me just these ideas of, what about bridal party, wedding parties, like get with the bridesmaids and the bride and have these fun get together parties where they leave with a piece of jewelry that they've created. So I'm super excited on where it's going to go. It's just kind of in the beginning stages.
I love that. I'm thinking about all the people we have in our mentoring program. They all start out with, I was just going to do this little thing on the side, just for fun. And then I had to start selling it because I had so much of it. And then before long, they get in the mentoring program and we've got them into a business and they're making money and all this. But I love that right now, you're loving what you're doing professionally. This is a great outlet for you creatively. You're starting to teach as well. And I love the fact that you're like, hey, I don't necessarily need the money, quote unquote, from this. I can do this as a give back and, use it as a way that, I can interact with people, bless people and give to charities that I love. And talk about that balance a little bit, because I know that a lot of people feel, they can even feel bad about, or like they're not a real artist per se, if they're not having a full-time art business. And I'm like, nothing could be further from the truth, that we all do art at different levels, depending on the season of life that we're in.
Yeah. And the thing with jewelry, it doesn't require a huge investment to start it. Whether you want to do the beading aspect, or what I do with the metalsmithing, I mean, you can start out with a torch that you get from Home Depot or Lowe's, butane torch, and a couple of tools, and you're ready to go. Yeah. So it's funny because I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day about, finding your gifts, your talents. And yes, you can emulate people for a while, but that's the process of learning who you are and and so that's the thing. My husband has been always saying, find your niche. And it's hard when it's a saturated market, right? Yeah. And so what I'm learning is that doing what I enjoy and experimenting, that's where I'm heading that way to figure out how I can narrow it down. But as far as being an artist, you don't have to be selling in a gallery or to be an artist. You are an artist when you start doing it. You start creating, and you're an artist, and you don't have to be selling 6 figures worth of jewelry as soon as you start. In fact, you don't have to sell any of it if you don't want. Yeah. You can just give it away.
Yeah, as being an artist is who you are. It's not defined by the amount you sell, I totally agree with that. And I think I was just doing one of these things we do in our mentoring program called Biz Chat the other day, where we get on and talk about different topics and we break people up into small groups. And I was just teaching on, don't despise the days of small beginnings. That's what the Bible says. And literally when we do that, we've all done that. When you do like, oh, I'm no good, or this is not big enough or whatever, it's literally like speaking death over the thing that God's trying to bring life to. It's like, kind of cutting off the sprout that God's trying to bring up in your life. And so I just love that, you have really had that, sort of mentality your time, it seems like, of, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. And whether it's small or big, that doesn't define who I am. And, I can already tell I love your husband. He seems like an incredible person, because you've said a couple of times through this how encouraging he's been along the way to you. Talk about that, because, there's so many people out there who feel alone creatively, maybe alone in a marriage, alone in their community. They don't feel like anybody gets them. Talk about the opportunity of having a supportive spouse that is speaking life into you, because I'm sure that makes a huge difference, right?
It does. And I'm going to back up, because I've been that spouse to him. He does. He started out doing CAD drawings, that sort of thing. So what he does, he works for designers, and he creates things on the computer that they can show the clients and it looks real. You can't tell the difference in a picture and what he's done on the computer. It's amazing. He's extremely talented, and he's self-taught. Yeah. So back when we were younger, newly married, he would call and say, I need this program. It's $1,000, whatever. Yeah. Hey, I need this computer. It's $7,000, whatever. So yes, he has been with me. You want to buy that? Let's get it. Yeah. Yeah. You want to get that? No problem. That's beautiful. I love what you're doing. Hey, he'll come to me and he'll say, hey, try this. And he'll draw me out something, maybe if you did this and that. So he's very creative himself. And sometimes I take his suggestions, and sometimes I'm like, baby, that's really heavy. Not so much. That's a lot of metal on there, and I don't think we can wear that as an earring. So he is very, very supportive of me doing this, very supportive of me doing shows. Whatever money you want to spend, honey, that's fine. I just got a bonus, shocking in education that we got a bonus, right? And bought me a rolling mill. I'm super excited with what I'm going to be able to do with that. Yeah. And he was as excited as I was. He was like, unwrap it. Let's look at it. What can it do? So it's really, really important to surround yourself with people who support you. And that's where I think, like the Facebook groups, Instagram, those types of things, having friends and people who are around will support you. Because sometimes on Instagram, I'll say, what if I were to search for this, what would you call it? Yeah. And people will give me their opinion. Yeah. So it is so very important. It's a community is such a game changer. I think of, so many of us that I know, for me, making my baskets for years, I never knew anybody that did that, as the internet came out, we've all gotten more and more connected, and we see that all the time in Creative to Thrive. I mean, people that feel alone wherever they are in Podunk, Iowa, or the backside of Australia somewhere or whatever, all of a sudden can come on and be involved in a community that makes a difference. And I'm thinking about Tanya and I. We've been married. It's coming up this month, actually, on 25 years. And we're like, where did that time, where did that go? But I think, early on in marriage, you think, sometimes the things that, that makes your spouse unique and different drive you crazy. But I think as you grow older and as you, walk with each other, you learn to honor those differences and you learn to speak life into each other. And I think, especially as a creative, I know for me, and I hope for her as well, just the ability to speak life into each other is such a huge deal. So, yes. Well, you're going to be teaching this year at Gathering of Artisans, and we are super excited for you to be there. I know we always have lots and lots of painters and that sort of thing, but being a fine craftsperson, in the fiber world, I'm always like, we need jewelry, we need metal, we need fiber, we need other, glass, and we need all these other things. And so I'm so excited that you're going to be bringing that this year. So talk about what somebody would learn in your classes this year at Gathering of Artisans. And guys, we'll give you the link so that you can click and see if Frances's classes are still available. Hope they are when the podcast comes out. But talk about the things that people will learn, and maybe does somebody have to have a lot of experience before they take a class with you, or just what does that look like? Nope, I'm going to start from the beginning. One of the classes we're going to do, and I'll show you this piece of jewelry on my hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, beautiful. All you podcast listeners, you'll have to go to YouTube to see that. It's gorgeous.
So we're going to do one that's stamping, and I'm just going to do a side note here. This is especially cool for me because the stamping part of it, I can't tell you how many of my friends where I have learned of, like a friend who lost her mom. So I will go and stamp out a ring, and sometimes I'll do a pendant, a bracelet, a ring, and I'll stamp out mom, and I'll patina and polish and all that. And when I give it to them, I just can't even tell you, like they cry, they say, I'll never take it off. I see them a year later, they're still wearing it. Wow. I've done so many things with stamping that means so much. I've had friends who had children. I'll stamp the baby's name. They love it. They absolutely love it. So we're going to do stamping in one of the classes. So I'm going to teach them how to stamp. We're going to practice on copper first because it's cheaper than sterling silver. And then I'm going to show them where to purchase if they want to just purchase blanks. I'm going to show them the different sets of metal stamping, the different sizes, how to patina it, how to polish, what they need. It's a total beginner's journey, and then they can leave there and go and get their own things.
I love that.
And begin doing it from there on, from then on out. The other one we're going to do, and I don't have any with me, they're in the other room.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing copper earrings, and we're going to do with the flame, it creates a patina. And it's so incredible. And I'm going to teach them where to find the blanks, how to polish it first, and then patina it, how to seal it. And it's very light metal. They can be very big earrings, but they're very light. And it depends on the atmosphere as to what colors you get. So you don't like it, you just polish it back off and do it again. It's very forgiving. And it's just so much fun because you never know what you're going to get out of that copper.
I'm thinking about years ago, I don't know if you've seen any of my basket work or the copper leaves that I do and that sort of thing, but years ago, I had this vision. I'm like, I'm going to put a copper kudzu leaf on my baskets because I make baskets out of kudzu. And so I didn't have any clue what I was doing. I mean, I'm a basket maker, right? And so I went up to Michael's and I got me some of this copper foil and all this and this, and I'm thinking, well, how am I going to make my leaf? And so I cut it out, and I'm just so proud. You know how you're so proud when you first do something. And then I thought, well, I don't know how to solder, but who needs solder when you have super glue? And so I super glued it on the stem on the back. I mean, I was so proud. And so at that point, I was like, I am God's gift to coppersmithing. At this point, and I took it to church, and we had a guy in our church at that time that was like 35 years, master silversmith and copper work and all the embossing and all this kind of stuff. And I took it to him, and I said, Tom, look at this. I'm so proud, like a little kid. And he looked at that, and we were in church so he couldn't be ugly, He's looking at that thing, just shaking his head. He said, Matt, why don't you just come on up to the house and I'll show you how to really do this. And in an afternoon, he showed me, how to cut it, how to copper it, how to anneal it, how to, do the flame tempering like you're talking about, all this sort of thing, how to polish it. And I think, man, that one afternoon gave me the skills that I needed to be able to then take that and do so much. And that's what I love about Gathering of Artisans, is that somebody can come and they can take a class like with you for a day. Maybe they've never done anything like this before, but they're going to get a skill set and a great experience with other people and a great teacher like you to be able to learn something that maybe they've never had the tools or opportunity to learn before. And it may spark something that takes them into a whole new direction. And so I just think that's going to be so fun. And we're super excited to have you coming to teach, that this year at Gathering. So Frances, I know folks are going to want to connect with you, see more of your work and all that sort of thing. I know they can go to gatheringofartisans.com to see the the classes and that sort of thing. But if they want to see more of your work or interact with you on social media or that sort of thing, where's the best place that they can do that?
Well, I just opened back up a Facebook page.
Awesome.
I had, so that one is at Hope and Joy CO.
Okay.
Instagram is at Hope and Joy CO, and my Etsy shop is, goodness gracious, I think it's the same thing.
Awesome.
So, and just a side note, the reason I chose Hope and Joy, which took me several years to come up, probably a year to come up with a name of what I wanted, but it's the hope that I have in Jesus and the joy that I get and that others get, either by wearing the jewelry or gifting the jewelry. So that's where I came up with the name.
I love that. Well, listen, it's been a joy to have you today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thanks for coming to Gathering of Artisans this year. And guys, again, click all the links to find out what Frances is doing, and also go to gatheringofartisans.com and see if her classes are still available. We'd love to have you this year at our gathering. So Frances, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it.